Operation status quo. Operation status quo. Prepare to engage. Operation status quo. Ready to engage. Operation status quo. Engaged. Engaged. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. Welcome back. Unless it's your first time here, then welcome, just in general, to Operation Status Quo. I'm sorry, I'm a little distracted as we start because I'm buffering off the bat already. We got buffering issues, buffering. You know how it goes here on Operation Status Quo, ladies and gentlemen. We deal with our technical difficulties. And just speaking of technical things, RC3 has been incognito. He's been out of commission, as it were, for the last couple episodes. I don't know what's going on with him. He's re-engaging into the matrix, trying to work a regular full-time job, which I don't understand why he would do that when you could just indulge in the beautiful life of Operation Status Quo. I hear it on the back channels that he's looking for other platforms to work with. But RC3 is in charge of all our communications and technical. Well, actually, really, he's the official scapegoat of Operation Status Quo. So not that he necessarily does anything, but we do blame him when things go wrong. And he, as a gracious soul, is willing to take that blame. So RC3, in your absence today, we blame you for everything that goes wrong. And we thank you for taking that blame because someone has to do it. So a little round of applause as we start here today. Operation Status Quo. Yeah. Hey-o. I just got back from my dipsy doodle at the pool, and I did a nice sauna today. So, I'm feeling pretty good and getting in the groove of being here with you, the beautiful people of the world, because that's what we do on Operation Status Quo. And sorry that I'm rambling so much in the beginning. For those that are new or, whatever, if you're used to this, and it's like you're just picking up where you left off from watching the last show. But if you are new here and you have no idea of anything that I do, I am Pete.Palma, by the way. This is Operation Status Quo, the place where we observe the status quo of life. We learn to flow with the status quo of life. And then, of course, most importantly, we create our own flow of quo because that's the only way to go. That's why I'm criticizing RC3 for jumping back into the matrix and doing those goofy jobs. Come on, RC3. You got it in you. You can do it. You don't need those sons of bitches and sit at that desk and they tell you what to do. Are you serious? Hey-o. Because if you're not living your flow of quo, ladies and gentlemen, you're living someone else's flow, and that's a no-no, and that's what we talk about here. So, I don't know. RC3 is always listening to the show. He's into the show. He understands the show, and yet he doesn't listen to what I'm saying. That's the crazy part. That's kind of where we're going to go with things today. Not because of RC3. Hey-o. But that's where kind of where we're going with things today about creating your own flow and living your own flow of quo, yokes. That's the only way to go, and that's it. And what are you doing out there right now to create your own flow of quo? I mean, let me know in the comments below. That's what we do here on Operation Status Quo. So thanks for being with me. Thanks for being with me. Oh gosh, it's beautiful. We're into December, and we're about to have a good time. Oh yeah, that's what I wanted to say. That it's a live stream of consciousness. And see, this is what's funny about the way I operate. It's so interesting because I just talk, right? And then while I'm trying to remember something that I was trying to say previously, I start saying other things. And that's what makes like the whole show so mishmashed and convoluted, as it were, because I'm trying to remember what I wanted to talk about while I'm saying new things. And then I got to kind of keep working all those things in together. Because in the very beginning, when I was saying, if you're new here, you don't understand what's going on, I'm trying to explain to you that this is the live stream of consciousness. What is happening right now is the universe pouring itself through me and out to you. And I don't know what's happening. I'm merely the conduit. Like I'm sitting here like this right now, really. I just, all the energy's coming and the words are coming out. I don't really think about it. Everything's just happening. So it's like, please, for God's sake, sleigh bells ring. Are you listening? Why are there songs about rainbows? What's on the other side? I don't know why. Why are there so many damn songs about rainbows? Because rainbows are beautiful, and there's always something on the other side of the rainbow. That's why we have to. That's what Operation Status Quo is. Now I know. That's what Operation Status Quo is all about. It's about the other side of the rainbow. Yeah, after over 2 years of doing this show, 2.5, how long have we been doing this show? For God's sake, ladies and gentlemen, we finally have come to the conclusion that we're understanding that it's all about seeing what's on the other side of the rainbow. That's the beauty of it. We should go back to that. Why are there so many songs about rainbows and what's on the other side? Rainbows are visions, but only illusions, and rainbows have nothing to hide. Right, they don't have anything to hide. I'm sorry, guys. This is what I like about my show, quite honestly, is that, and for the reason I like it is the reason that nobody watches it. It's because it has no point. It has no it does have a foundation. I shouldn't say that. Generally, it doesn't have a point. Heyo. And I say to myself, look, you can go on YouTube and there's plenty of shows out there with people with a point, with a direct message they want to send. And my message is direct, really, but it's done in this kind of like off way. My message is direct in the fact of living from your heart and being who you want to be, and enjoying life and not taking things seriously, not letting the pressures of the world and what's said and how we should be and what we should do, not to let all that kind of, trap us into one path or a limited thought pattern or, we should never label anything as like, this is that, this is the way, this is how it has to be. Everything's always an ebb and a flow, and we're always on the go. That's why it's like, say, Operation Status Quo, and you have to flow with the quo in a sense, because everything is an ebb and flow and a change and a reflection. I look back, I'll give. Let me say the title of the show at least, and then I can get into it more. Today is the 3rd of December in the good year 2025, and today's program is entitled "Fermented in Fear." Yeah, and again, it's exactly because I'm on the groove already, so I might as well just keep going. But I reflect back on my life, and I was just thinking about this recently. If you look back on your life, like I'm early 50s, and whatever age you are, but wherever you are right now in your life is where you are right now, and that expression of essence. To you, right, to all of us as individuals in the moment that each moment is, you feel like, wow, I'm here, right? This is me right now. This is, everything that is, put together of how I think and how I operate and what I reflect on and what I use to make assessments based on previous and what I'm trying to get to, right? All this type of thing. You're always in this like kind of one spot. You can reflect on your younger days, like you were 10 years old, you were 20 years old, you were 30, whatever, right? All that type of stuff. But the truth is it's already gone, right? You're already a totally new person. Like you're always, again, going back to the ebb and flow thing, and life is what we do here on Operation Status Quo and just trying to see outside the box a little bit. Like your life is always this kind of like mush of change, right? You are always an essence of what you are. You're always that kind of essence, the realization of your existence, at least the realization of your personality and such. But it changes. What you do now is totally different than what you would have done 20 years ago, and is probably totally different than what you're going to do 20 years from now. I think about that a lot. Like as I'm in this age, I say, I understand. I'm almost like really starting to understand people who are like, say, 70, 80 years old, and they get up and they have like a very simple day of whether they, do a little stuff around their house or, just sit outside and watch nature. I'm not saying you're old, you're not active. But I just mean like, different priorities and different thought processes as you age. Like when you're 20, 30 and younger, you're just getting in the world, thinking of being old or dying is like, oh my, you're right. Cause like you're just getting in and doing everything. Once you do everything in this goofy world for a little while, then you realize I don't want to do any of it. I don't want it, and I don't need it, and neither do you. Ayo, ayo, ayo. It's like, so you start to reflect back, and once you've done a lot of things, then like I think more like where I am in this kind of middle age is a place of saying, okay, how do I utilize skills, talents, abilities, resources, what I've learned, working hard in different situations to create a more cohesive situation now, and how do I build that now to look towards where I'll be in the future and what I'll be thinking and doing then, which of course you don't know exactly what you're going to be thinking and doing in the future. But at the same time, just reflect. I mean, however old you are, reflect on how much different you think of how you act, how you well, maybe some people do. Some people never change and grow. Like, I look at life, it's a spiritual journey. I'm always looking to improve myself however I can. I'm always trying to be aware of my ways and how I interact with people and the intentions and the energies that I put out. So I'm always kind of in connection with that and seeing how I can improve that. Like, I've been, I really keep saying to myself, one of the things I'll share this because I keep saying, I have we all have things in our life that agitate us a little bit. And sometimes, we want to say something or whatever. And, every time I get a little something in my head that something happened with someone, I say, I just want to tell them this, I always say to myself, I'm not looking to make life any more complicated or difficult for any person, right? So, does me sharing this, does me saying this, does me doing this make life more complicated for, when somebody's kind of jerky to you and you want to just kind of say something or something, right? Like I look at it and say to myself, it's like, they're already living like that. How does it serve? What is it serving for me to say? It's really only serving my own ego to try to get a point across that they're not going to understand, because if they did, they wouldn't have been doing those behaviors in the first place. So that's the beauty of trying to live that way of realization. It takes a lot of pressure off of having to try to fix anything or be righteous. And so, I'm not saying there aren't times to speak up and such, but a lot of it is righteousness and wanting to, pet our own ego, as it were, right? Like, we want to be able to say, I told them so and such and such. And the truth is, well, it's not really making life any easier for that person's already miserable. And now you're just engaging in that energy and creating more misery, because they're not going to take it in a way of you trying to say, oh, I'm really glad Pete told me how much of a jerk I am because it's really enlightened me now. Now, all they're going to be like is I knew that Pete was an asshole. I never liked him. And see, he had to make some snarky remark. That's all he ever does, is make snarky little remarks. Yeah, I don't. Hey-o. In the past, I would have a lot more, but I don't know. So, and I called the show Fermented in Fear today because it's just interesting of how we're born into this world and such, but I say fermented in fear because it's almost like how we're raised from being in utero, as it were, to the time that you can start remembering that you're living each day, right? All that time is like a time of sitting in this fermentation period of all the energies that are around you, and we're subjugated to what goes on with our mainstream narratives. And then, of course, most of the people in the world are trying to live within the matrix. It's just a very odd thing, and it's almost like you don't have a chance. I consider myself extremely blessed, and I know a lot of you out there and people who enjoy the show and watch. I understand that you understand as well, because you wouldn't jive with me if you didn't. Right? So it's like what chance do people have? And again, okay, thank you. I remember where I was going. I'm saying I feel like I'm blessed to even have the space to be able to see that I am an observer of life, as opposed to just living life. I'm not just living life, right? I'm the observer of this physical play that's going on for the benefit of whatever, but whether it's benefit, I don't know. What I'm saying is just to be able to be aware and create space and observe. And most people can't even get to that point and don't even realize. And then some people get to that point in a way, but they still give in to their fears. It's just a very interesting thing to me. And, the whole kind of concept of where I was going with this today started a little bit with, of course, our good friend, if I could, a toast to Drost, ladies and gentlemen. That's Mark Drost, Drost. You can look him up on Facebook. Heyo. So again, for those of you who are new, he's just always he's very negative. He's a quote unquote yoga guru, and this is why I bring him up. All his stuff is public. So again, that's why I bring him up too, because I just got done saying I don't want to make anybody's life harder. Right? I want to say stuff to him all the time, but I don't, because I know he's not going to understand, and he's just going to react with anger, and it's not really helping anybody for me to try to say anything to him, whether even be in a kind way, because he doesn't receive it. I've tried before. I just won't receive it. But he, just to speak on fermented in fear and being programmed in a certain way of seeing what's happening in our world is so real and taking it so personally, Mark, and the only reason I pick on him again is because he's, supposed to be teaching people the practices of yoga at a high level, and he's very entrenched in the political agendas and such, and just has a hatred towards our current leadership so much that, he doesn't see another. It's just very odd to me to be so engrossed in it in that way. And he's been posting on Facebook a lot recently, as far as, and I'm not even going to, I used to read the post before. You can look them up yourself and see whatever you want to see. But, just like the stuff, about, if you agree with what he's doing, you're this, and just a lot of things about when you stuff that's going on. I'm trying to keep it very. I don't want to talk about the exact issues, but things that are going on politically with parts of what our administration is doing. He'll pick them out and make comments about those situations and say how it's crimes against humanity, and how evil this person is, and all that type of thing, right? So, and if somebody, for example, I'll just give one example. He made a post about, how can anybody in good conscience support our president when he's a rapist and a pedophile? And I'm thinking, well, like, they're all like, and somebody commented on his post and said, well, what about Biden? What about Biden? And, of course, then he calls that person an idiot and everything else. It's like, that's the part that gets me about it. It's like, I'm not saying that, he's even wrong in certain regards, but like the truth of it again is that, like, it's to pick a side and be so attached and to have so much emotional input or relation to your disagreement with this person, or his agenda, or his time in office, whatever, to be so passionate about it like that. That should be like a clue, to me, if that was me and I was realizing I can't stand this MFer and rah, 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 look at what they're doing, rah, 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 rah. That's how I always it'd be like the first clue to me that, okay, something's really a red flag that I need to reflect on, because there's absolutely no reason I should be putting all my time, energy, and effort into trying to, to be so angry with what this, because it's all reflections, right? It's all reflections and what's happening in the world. And I've spoken on this a gazillion times. What's happening in the world is really a projection of what we need to see for humanity to grow. It's not about political parties. It's not about the actual people that we think are in charge and doing things. It's not that. It's what's happening right now is so blatantly showing the incompetence of our current way of life as a society, as a humanity, as a species. So that's why it's happening this way, to get everybody, even the people who like certain people on either side, everybody's effing up, right? So that you can, say, I'm not trusting this one, I'm not trusting that one. We can dissipate what was in those ways and rebuild in a way that works together for everyone in a more harmonious fashion. So for him to be so that way about this, and then when people say something to him, he's right away, you're an idiot and you're this and you're a fascist. It's perplexing to me every single time that someone, and again, especially in the yoga community, that for how I think of yoga, because, I've been teaching yoga since 2016. I've been practicing since 2010. I just started teaching again, actually, here locally. I got involved with a studio. I have my own regular class again to teach, which is great. So I'm really happy about that. And I'm not like some yogi. I'm not like some guru knowledge sitting on the top of a mountain going om all day long. Or, but the whole point of yoga is like to me, anybody who's really understands the essence of what it represents would understand that no matter what's going on in the world, no matter what it is geopolitically, no matter what we think differently culturally, race-wise, religion-wise, all these things, when you go in and do a practice, it's a whole, that is like the space that, kind of to me is the personification of what it is to know that to know that we are the observers of life, that you don't hold attachment to things, because whatever your attachments are, whatever your political views, your religious, your upbringing, your nation of origin, all these things are left at the door when you walk in and do a yoga practice, because it's about the present moment. It's about the realization that we're all one energy and we're connecting to that. It's not just about doing postures or right. I mean, the essence of doing a practice is about the realization and the separation from the egoic self and the 3D paradigm, and the understanding that we're all here living what we're meant to live. And then like for this guy to be, supposed to be like, has a business and he's teaching people to be teachers and holding retreats and everything else. And then he's on there like, it's just such a, I don't say vile, but yeah, in a way, just such a low vibrational method of communication and speaking. It's okay to believe in things and even be passionate about things. I really dislike corporations and companies and stuff, right? Like, I have like I can't stand Walmart. I really think they're evil and everything, but I'm not going to go every day posting about the evil of huge corporate stores and what they do and how they treat people. I mean, we know, like I know it, so I choose to live my life in a way that doesn't have to interact with it or, so much, at least as minimally as possible. I mean, it is what it is. You have to buy food and clothes and stuff. I guess I can get somebody to make my clothes for me. I can start, what do you guys make out there? You make clothes, you make soap. We'll all start helping each other in that way. But the whole fermented in fear thing, and that's what I'm saying. Like even like saying again about with Mark and what I'm talking about. Fermented in fear. He's like stuck in a jar, fermenting in all these thoughts and attachments, and I don't know. It's just that's really what kind of got my mind churning today when it came to the topic. Just because I was just thinking, like, how could it be that people are so ingrained and the thing that gets me about it the most, I guess I'll kind of wrap up the other portion I wanted to speak on. Really was just to kind of say. It's amazing to me that people don't see another way. Like even people who do, like I said this a little bit kind of earlier, but even people who do realize like what we're saying here about being the observer and taking the power for your life and what you put out brings back to you, right? Like if you're living in a certain way, you're going to be within a certain energetic vibration and the universe is going to support. If you're living, for the right reasons, if you're in tune, I'm not saying everything's perfect, but you always have what you need, even if it's not what you think you need, right? But the universe knows what you need and why you're here. And the more you trust in that and live in that way, then you're always supported and guided. So what gets me is like when people kind of understand some of this and yet and you can tell, like, I'm joking about RC3, doing the job and stuff, but in a way, and I'm not speaking on him particularly, but I'm just saying in general, like, people know, they hear it and they feel it, but they still want to go do those things in this other realm because that's where the safety and the security is, or that's where they get, people to give them kudos or I'm just saying, people you got people in your life that don't even, and this is in general I'm speaking, you got people, even myself, I do what I do, and I see people that are close to me I won't say they don't support me, but I know they don't understand exactly. And, and I'm not going to try to change what I'm doing so that they'll be accepting of what I do with my time. Like, whether it could be, it could be my closest, it could be my parents. I'm just saying the closest person in your life. It doesn't matter to me if I'm, I'm not living outside of to make someone else feel like they can say I'm okay because, oh, look, Pete's doing this. So, we feel okay about that, so Pete's okay. No. It don't work that way. It don't work that way. I'm doing, and I'm not saying this to, again, it's everything's within reason. It's not about being a jerk to other people or anything like that, or even that try to prove them wrong. It's just about the realization. And if you see something, or I've said this a gazillion times too, a job, a person, whatever, a relationship, anything that's in your life that is not resonating, that, it comes with just a flow of comfort, where you have to try to, wiggle all around to make yourself fit in, then, it's just not worth it. And it's just like, I wish you the best and I wish me the best. And, maybe we'll catch up somewhere down the road, who knows? But at the same time, don't give up your power. Don't give up your power and your potential to hold on to old ways of doing things, because that's what kind of makes you feel comfortable. Do you want to live? The point is, you're going to live life. Life is on its, it's going, and you're going to be gone before you know it. Do you want to look back and do you want to live a life where you say, well, I always kind of thought this, or always kind of wanted to do that, but I just stayed. I just wanted to be safe, so I just did this, and it's like, and when you're doing that, this is like where health issues come from. This is where people who have like a lot of, even with weight problems, I really do believe like, weight problems, a lot of it comes from just emotional distress, which of course could probably lead to bad eating and stuff like that too. But I think it's less of bad eating and everything and more of emotional. Like if you're emotionally content and if you're working in line with yourself and you're in harmony with your mind, body, all that kind of thing, then you're not going to be looking for, chicken McNuggets at midnight to make you feel good, or a pint of ice cream, at 2 p.m. because like you're bored. You're not going to be thinking that way. You're going to be engaged with what you're doing, and your essence and your energy will guide you to want to put things in your body to help sustain and propel you forward even more, as opposed to bringing yourself down. I think I'm just, as I'm saying it, again, the live stream of consciousness, I think that's where a lot of it comes from, right? Like subconsciously, people are not doing what they really want to do. And then, they do more things to keep themselves suppressed in it, because to come out of it seems harder than it is to be in it, in a way. So you just kind of wallow in your emotional turmoil, with your pint of ice cream and your Oreos and your Coca-Cola and your Doritos and your Mountain Dew, and the list goes on and on. Your Kentucky Fried Chicken and your mayonnaise, your Kraft cheese sticks. Hey-o. I don't know, but that's what I'm talking about today. And I give everybody, because me too, I've grown so much in my life, and I can look back and think of ways that I was and how entrenched I was in, I was going to Burger King all the time when I was younger, right? I'm just saying. So that's why, but that's being fermented in fear, because we're raised in it. We're bred in the fear, and you have to grow out of it. And going back to saying, I feel blessed to even have the space to be aware and think in the way I do. People have to find that. There's no way to give that to someone. And even me talking, and if you're someone who is not that way and you're listening to this, and whether it makes sense or doesn't make sense, or you think this or you think that, but I can't say this, and then you're going to be like, oh yeah, maybe down the lines, if you hear these type of messages over and over, maybe something kind of in your head and somewhere, but at some point you're the only one that can know. You're the only one that knows whether you know or not. And you always know, but are you telling yourself that you know or you don't know? Like, people who like inside, people know, but they still don't do. So like, but you don't even tell yourself that you know sometimes, right? Because you don't want to have to take responsibility, and there's a lot of discomfort in the changes sometimes. But I'm just speaking on my experience and my life, and I'll tell you, I think it's a beautiful thing to do that. Like as disruptive and sometimes some of the path could be a little lonely in different ways and whatever. For all of that, I still feel. I feel like I've lived 10 lives already. And if I always say, if I was to croak, I'm not suicidal and I'm not planning on dying anytime soon. So if something happens to me, ladies and gentlemen, it was some YouTube conspiracy. Somebody took me out. Probably Walmart. But but I feel so that I've lived so, and even in my times when I'm really down, I feel like I've lived and I'm really living. Even when I'm down, I'm really living. I'm really living it. So I don't know. You know, we were fermented in fear, but we can break free of the fermentation and be born anew with light and beauty and love and all that kind of stuff. That's what we try to promote here on Operation Status Quo. And I can't believe that I've gone 30 minutes. I really had nothing to say today. Could you imagine if I had something to talk about, ladies and gentlemen? But no, I'm always wishing everybody the best and just trying to say, see a bigger picture, whatever it is. You know, life is a playground and enjoy. And, you know, come on at this point with everything that's going on. We can just don't give your power away. It's really that simple. There's nothing you have to do like to run in circles and make anything happen. And I'll kind of leave it with this because it's another point that I kind of thought of you know, I talk to some people and I'm just going to keep it real general. You know, and this one person I speak to says, you know, they want to make certain changes in their life. And when I talk to this person, it's always about, they want to make changes, but if they do this and do that, they're not sure how it'll turn out. Or if they do this or do that, you know, I'm used to putting my car in the garage. I need a garage. All these like kind of things. Instead of just like, if you believe in a change and you want to do something, be adventurous. You know, be smart about how you do your things. But at the same time, just you take the leap and you do something, and then as you do it and you're into it, it'll guide you and give you what you need. Like when I moved down here, I had no idea where I was going. I plopped in an apartment. I was there for 4 months. I wound up moving again to another part of Florida. And then I was there for 5 months. And then I wound up moving again. Right. So, and I didn't really know. I didn't think I had to have the perfect spot and this is where I'm going to be. And this is exactly it. I didn't know. I came down and that's it. And then it's grown into this beautiful thing that we're here sharing together today, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, seriously, I mean, life is our own journey and whatever it brings and does. The point is you just got to take the leap a little bit and know that there's higher powers that are at play and you're part of that, and don't hold yourself back and don't limit yourself based on what other parameters or whatever's going on in the world, you know, makes you think, because they're always going to try to keep you penned in and not, because the system doesn't thrive if you are alive. That's right. The system doesn't thrive if your soul is alive. I should say that. They want you zombified and shopping at Walmart. Hey-o. All right. Whew. Well, that's what I got for you here today on Operation Status Quo, ladies and gentlemen. As always, I thank you for taking the time to be with me here today. If you haven't done so already, please like, subscribe, share, send this out to your friends, your family, those you love, and of course, those you despise as well. God bless each and every one of you. You know I love you out there individually as well as a group. Don't forget to check out the Happy Day album, now streaming on all your favorite music streaming platforms, as well as pete.palma.com. You can go there and check that out too. Join me on all the socials. Make sure you check out my shorts section here on this channel. All the good stuff is there. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is the good stuff too, hopefully. I don't know. Is it good? Just click like and let me know. All right, until next time, Operation Status Quo, disengaged.
Is a boulevard of 10 short blocks.